but either way, I hate it. They need to fix this in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, the Ducks broadcast said that they just want to take it out completely and go back to the old way, which, I mean, I guess in some ways the old way is better because you don't have to deal with this at all. I mean, you just go with what happens on the ice, and then it's whatever the ref's call is. But, I mean, they would have missed this, and I feel like,
I'm still offside.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not a fan of the coach's challenge either, but, I mean, if this was the other way around, I mean, we'd be happy that this got called back and it ended up being an offside for the Sharks. But there's some work to do with the way they go about it, because every call seems to get reviewed, and probably more than 90% of them get called back if they're getting reviewed at that point because they're so close, right? So, and a lot of times it comes down to, like you said, the skate being off the ice on the blue line, or the puck not fully crossing, or some guy skating in backwards where he doesn't have full possession of the puck. Just weird ones that normally wouldn't really matter, but now that we're reviewing everything, I think there's some tweaking that definitely needs to be done with this rule, because it's just getting ridiculous at this point, really. That, I mean, everything ends up getting reviewed, and I get this was a good call, and this should have been called offside like it was, but it's just getting silly at this point.
Yeah, no, it just the wording needs to be changed in the rule book. The GMs need to get together with the competition committee and just make it so once the puck touches the blue line, it's onside. That's it. Once the piece of the puck is on the blue line, that's it. Whether it's in the air, it's a plane, goes straight up and down, vertical. If they fix that, this goal counts, and so do a lot of other goals, and maybe 4 against Anaheim. I don't remember all of them. I hate this rule to begin with. So, yeah, it's not the case, though. Ducks don't score here at the beginning of the third, of course. And then Sharks go on the power play, so why not kill the momentum there? But big stops out of John Gibson, again, as we've been saying all season long. Ducks able to kill it off. The Ducks go on the power play, and it looks good. They get plenty of chances, lots of puck movement, aren't able to score. And then finally, after all the hard work, 2 goals that don't count because they shouldn't have, but, I mean, everyone's excited about them. The Ducks are able to break through. Silverberg digs the puck, gets it to Kessler. Kessler feeds Cogliano. Cogliano buries it at the top of the crease. The Iron Man tying the game up 1-1, Eddie.
Finally. I mean, this line finally got some offense going. They were good all series, at least defensively for the most part. I mean, game 3 is a write-off for pretty much everybody, but they were creating things in this game, and then they finally got on the board. And it felt good. I mean, we had celebrated twice already in this game just to have it called back for good reason, like you said. And then finally, I mean, after this one scored, I was just waiting. I was waiting for some kind of review or for something, goaltender interference or something to just nullify this goal and get it called back, because we'd seen it twice already. But it was exciting at the time because we're like, oh, I mean, the Ducks are still playing well. They're continuing a bit of that momentum they had from the second period. And they've got it tied. And they actually, at that point, it felt like they could actually win this game, because this is the best hockey they had played up until this point in the entire series.
And that would be until 1 minute and 16 seconds later, though, when all hopes and dreams would be crushed. Tomas Hertl is able to convert, and it's just a deflection out in front. This was a piss-poor play by Anaheim, as we retweeted one of our favorites, Dmitry Filipovic. The Ducks unable to clear their own zone. Getzlaf not able to clear it the second time. Raquel guilty of it the first time. Turnovers in your own zone always come back to bite you. If you have possession of the puck in your own end twice and you can't get it out, just an awful sequence by Anaheim, and it burns them 2-1. The Sharks have grabbed the lead.
I mean, this would be the goal that ends the Ducks season, right? I mean, a greasy tip that squeaks 5-hole on John Gibson. I mean, just an awful way to look at this. Is going to be the game-winning goal that ended the Ducks season, and we're going to look back at it and say, really, this is it. This is what happened. This is how it happened. Right after we'd scored a goal, just 1 minute and 15 seconds later, it feels like that's what should have happened. I mean, really, that this is the goal that should end the Ducks season. The way that this series went, it's not going to be a highlight reel goal. It's not going to be anything credit really to the San Jose Sharks. It's just going to be a puck that gets thrown to the net. It gets tipped through 5-hole. And again, I mean, it's tough to blame Gibby on that one, because you can't really do much when it gets deflected right in front like that. He's in good position, and he just can't squeeze the pads together, and it squeaks through. And I'm sure I haven't looked, but I'm sure somewhere on Twitter there's a bunch of people out there blaming Gibby for this goal and thinking that Ryan Miller should have started in this game. I'm sure it's out there. You know it has to be.
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. Everyone's got to blame John Gibson for something this postseason and regular season. As long as he is in net and doesn't have a Vezina trophy and doesn't have a Stanley Cup, it's always going to be why we trade Frederik Andersen and why are we starting Ryan Miller. So we have to look forward to that next season too. So because Miller's here next year as well.
Yeah.
We can get to that in a minute, but lots of pressure to finish out this third. I'm going to make this really quick, Eddie. In fact, I stopped really taking notes because I was pissed off watching this game. And I was drinking beer, so I was like, you know what? I need to just relax because this is not the way I wanted to go out this year. And I say because I am part of the team.
Well,
you just feel it as a fan.
You met Bob Murray. You're part of the group now. You're part of the inner circle. Yeah.
Yeah, he shook my hand and said,
"That's essentially that's a job offer right there."
I would think so. He and I are pretty tight now. I just need to figure out his number so I can get him on the show.
It's an assistant GM role right there. You're
that'd be perfect. That's
you're like making all the decisions.
I'd be perfect for that one. Mm-hmm. Be perfect. I'll just be in his ear all the time about what to do, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is great. Let's just let Patrick run the show." Ducks with lots of pressure in this third period, but just not the chances. I really felt like they had the majority of their chances in that second period and the beginning of the third. After that, it just kind of just wasn't going their way. They pulled Gibson. And it just didn't work. They weren't able to get anything. The Sharks came close a couple of times to getting empty netters. Let's just wrap this one up, man. It's the end of the season, end of the series. Unfortunately, our boys went out with all the effort in the world. Couldn't keep up with the Sharks in this one. They fall 2-1, get swept. I hate that. 4-0 in games to the Sharks of all the damn teams. At least it wasn't the Kings. We're hoping that the Sharks would choke on that stick, as everyone likes to talk about with their meme. It didn't happen. They move on and play Vegas. Good luck. I hope Vegas trashes them. I'm now a Vegas fan. So, end of the season, Eddie. We made it to the end. We covered every game. How do you feel about this game overall?
It's tough because if you look at the series as a whole, it kind of overshadows this game. But I felt like this was the only really close game that we expected, right? This is the fight that we expected. This is the type of game we expected between these two teams. Maybe you could say somewhat to game two, as it was kind of a battle too. I felt like the Sharks outplayed them in that game, but it was close. It was a close game. And then you have the write-offs and the awful games. In game one was just bad, and then game three is just unacceptable in the way they played. So it just masks everything, because we expected this to be a 6 or 7 game series. And here we are getting swept by the San Jose Sharks, which we'll probably hear about for the next 10 years, no matter if they win the Cup or not, and until the Ducks and Sharks play again, and maybe things go the other way. I mean, they're going to hold this over us for a while, and it's just disappointing. I mean, like you said, good luck in the second round, because Vegas is a whole nother animal. I mean, the Ducks are a better team than the way they played, and I'm not saying the Sharks got lucky, because they definitely played up to par and with a better team. But the Ducks weren't playing their best hockey, and right now Vegas is playing their best hockey. They're a fast team, and they played. I mean, the Kings were one of the better defensive teams in the league. They only surrendered, about 3 or 4 goals in the entire series? And the Golden Knights swept them. I mean, they beat them at their own game, and still were able to play the type of hockey that they're good at. And it'll be interesting to see how they deal with it. Like you said, I'm going to be maybe not a Vegas for the Stanley Cup fan, but I definitely going to be a Vegas fan in this next round, because it would be great to see the Golden Knights just sweep the Sharks as well, and they can just choke on all the brooms that they're throwing at us right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I really hope that Vegas wins the Cup. I'm surprised you're not saying them. You're going to go with some Eastern Conference.
No,
whatever,
I think
the Eastern
Winnipeg,
Conference
man.
time zone, eh?
I honestly think
I
picked them in the beginning.
Oh,
I think it's not even just because I'm Canadian. I honestly I picked Winnipeg in the beginning because I feel like they're the best team in the playoffs right now. I feel like they're better than Nashville, and I feel like I really like Winnipeg as a team. I feel like they're going to do it. I wouldn't be surprised the way Vegas is playing if they went far. And they would probably give Winnipeg a run for their money in the Western Conference Final. But my money, for me, is on the Jets to take it all. I don't
you
think
and Daniel on our chat. Daniel says he wants Winnipeg to win it too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Derek says Winnipeg is a great shot. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I feel like they're gonna. I don't think any team out of the East honestly stands a chance, other than Boston. And Boston has a lot of issues on their part as well. I think just going up against some of the Western Conference teams. So I like the Lightning to some extent, but I feel like they have a lot of issues that aren't really addressed. And look out now, Kucherov might be suspended for them. I know they're up 3-1, but that's going to be a big loss because of his hit today on Sami Vatanen. So, my pick... Was it? You think so? I didn't see it.
Clean. It was very reminiscent of Doughty.
Yeah, but again, Doughty got suspended, right? So I feel like it's probably
a game.
Yeah, it's probably a one-gamer, which hurts them because he also had 2 goals tonight, including the game winner. So that's going to be a tough go for them in Game 5 against New Jersey. I mean, they'll come out of that series. I don't think New Jersey can come back and win 3 straight games to take the series from Tampa Bay, but they've made it fun. They've been exciting games.
Well, let's get back to the abysmal game we need to talk about in the series we've got to talk about here. I don't want to go off on a rant about how great the other teams are, as much as I'd love to, Eddie. But we got to talk about our Ducks. Just to kind of bring you back in. Sorry to pull you out of the fun, but the pregame or postgame situation is going to start now. Put a cap on this one here. The Ducks, obviously, we said they got swept, as we all know, and it's painful. Jones stopping 128 out of 132 shots in the series. That'll tell you right there. It's tough to win when you get outscored 10-2 at even strength. I feel like that's a huge problem for Anaheim. They're unable to convert 5-on-5. Majority of their chances, I feel like, were in tonight's game, let alone across the whole series. So they had the most chances at 5-on-5, at least from the eye test. I didn't dig into the analytics, but their best game was tonight. I don't know where to go from here. I think there's a lot of stuff to look at, coming at the draft, because the draft is usually a big day for player movement. And then, of course, July 1st with free agent signings. There's not a lot of prizes or diamonds in the rough when you're looking at July 1st. I mean, the big names out there. And then after that, it's kind of like, who? I don't know if I want that guy. I don't need another third-line guy. There's no really big names, free agent-wise that Ducks can pick up, right?
No, not really. I mean, free agency is where the Ducks are going to maybe add some depth guys. Or the big names available are Paul Stastny, Rick Nash, Joe Thornton. The Sedin's just retired, so then you've got John Tavares, but that's not happening. Vander Kane, but I honestly think he probably re-signs in San Jose, just the way everything's gone for them and how well he's worked there. And then I guess the only big name that I could maybe see the Ducks going in on, but I feel like his price has probably gone up this year with the way he's played, is James Van Riemsdyk. I feel like that's
a guy.
What about real
deal James Neal?
I don't know. He started off so well, and then he kind of just tailed off. In
25 goals, man.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad. I don't know if I necessarily want him on the Ducks. I mean, he is a scoring winger, and that's what they're needing. But when you're looking at other guys available in JVR and possibly Pacioretty through trade, I feel like those are better options. But I wouldn't hate it if they got Neal. I'm just not sure what it would cost. And, I mean, he'll be 31 the next year. It depends on the term as well, right? Because I really feel like the Ducks probably have this next year, and that's pretty much it as a realistic cup window. And if any of these guys are going to want more than a 1-year deal, so I just don't see how it happens. I mean, still the most realistic option for me is working out some kind of Pacioretty trade, because I believe his contract is up at the end of next season. But the price is still going to be high. So I don't know. Free agency is interesting because there are some guys I think you could help. I think the Ducks need to rework their third line a bit because they were non-existent in this series. And they were good at times when they were put together during the regular season, but then there was times where they disappeared. And they disappeared at the most important of times throughout this entire series, so that needs to change a bit. And that really comes with some depth players. And then I think the blue line, a lot of people in the chat have talked about Pettersson, Welinski, Larson, if they're going to check in next year with this being Boschman's last year in the NHL and possibly the last season with the Ducks for Kevin Bieksa, what that bottom pairing is going to look like. A guy I always keep bringing up on this show is Ian Cole, and he'll be a free agent again this year, so maybe that's an option the Ducks go. I mean, Lucas Pisa is I'm not being serious, but he's an unrestricted free agent. I mean, The defense market for free agents.
I'm an unrestricted free agent. They could pick me up.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, I won't turn the puck over as much as Lucas Spezza.
It's not great. The guys available. I mean, you're looking at names